Well, hi, everybody. Let me find my microphone. I was busy getting the channel restarted and everything activated up, and golly. Aha. Okay, thank you for your indulgence. Today's just been one busy day. Um, I'm a member of St. Vincent de Paul, and so today I had a couple home visits. And one of the home visits, we decided we're going to help him with his rent. We're going to help him with his cell phone bill. And then he needed some food. And so we told him about some food pantries. And he says, well, I don't have a vehicle and I don't have a bicycle. I don't have anything. I walk to work, which is about 2 blocks away. I said, okay. So we gave him some food cards, some debit cards, basically. What do you call them? Gift cards to one of our local grocery stores. And he said, well, I don't know how I'm going to get these spent. And I said, well, I'll stick around. I'll give you a ride. So I gave him a ride over there, and we bought his food for him. So that was in addition to what I had planned for the day. So running a little bit late behind because of that. So I apologize. Ate my dinner while I was watching Gil on Camp Family Patent Compound. And, but we'll get it done. We'll get it done. So got some interesting stuff to discuss today. We're working on chapter 2. We're going into a more in-depth review of chapter 2 of How to Survive the End of the World as We Know It, the list of lists. So I'll be getting into that. We're talking this evening about food preparation and water, collection, purification, storage. So we're going to get into those two topics. Let me see who all is here and welcome everybody. Let me see. We've got Diana 2 was the first one here. Caitlin Strain, good evening. Welcome. She did Spanish halal MREs Sunday night at 7 o'clock. I tell you, she finds some interesting MREs to do reviews on. So, if you get a chance, Sunday evenings at 7 Central, Caitlin does her MRE reviews. Utah Mike, good evening. Welcome. Let me see. Laura Mannion, good evening. Welcome to you as well. Diana 2, Little Lone Prepper. Jean Sin, good evening. Welcome. Uh-oh. Are you thinking about changing your Sunday evenings to Monday evenings? Is that what you're saying here? Or it's just that today's Monday and it throws everything off kilter? That could be it too. Yeah. Every once in a while, you definitely get those. Oh, I will tell you, I thought I had a pulmonology appointment this morning. So I drove all the way to the hospital and made sure I got there early and then waited until they opened the window to check in, got checked in. She says, you do realize you're here early. And I said, oh, yeah, that's okay. I'll play something on my computer. She says, for 24 hours? I said, what? She said, your appointment isn't until tomorrow. So I said, okay, I'll go home. I would rather wait at home than wait here. So came home, and I'll have my appointment at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. But just anxious to get this appointment over with. Mother Earth Garden Club, good evening. Welcome. Theoxorus, good evening. Welcome to you too, my friend. Holly Ivans, good to see you. Oh, I'm wheezing. Let me get a puff. This is the pulmonologist that I'm seeing tomorrow morning. I was supposed to see him 3 months ago, but evidently he was sick, and because I have to do an every 6-month follow-up. And evidently he was sick and canceled the appointment. So this is going to be an every 9-month follow-up instead of 6-month. But my last check here was just at 7 o'clock. So 2 hours ago, my oxygen was at 93%. So we're looking pretty good. I think I'll make it through the evening, and you all can suffer through me until tomorrow. Okay, let's talk about food preparation. So one of the things that I want to strongly recommend you take a look at, he's talking about. Let's get through a couple of these. Now talk about my personal additions to it. So he recommends having an oversized skillet, a huge stew pot, and I have that 5-gallon stew pot, Several huge kettles to boil water. And, you're going to use hot water for instant coffee, instant tea. You're going to use it for a lot of your just add water meals. So you're going to need some good kettles. He recommends having even more barrels and 5 or 6 gallon PVC buckets for water. And don't overlook skinning knives, gut buckets, gambrels, meat saws, things necessary to process any meat that you may have acquired through hunting or trapping. He talks about when he talks about it, he doesn't necessarily. I don't think he's planning for this to necessarily be in a wild environment. But I will tell you that I strongly recommend getting camping grade cookware and utensils. And the reason is because you're going to be putting these over an open fire. Most of us are going to have to resort to outside cooking, whether that be with charcoal, wood, or some other means. But most of us are going to be cooking outside. I also recommend, and this is a testament to it. So this is the bottom of my can cooker. And when I use it, oh, that's the grate I have inside flopping about. What I do is I will take liquid soap, dishwashing soap, and I'll put a thin film of that liquid dishwashing soap all around the sides and the bottom, okay? So that if you put it over an open fire or anything that's producing a lot of smoke, that smoke will adhere to the soap and not to your cooking vessel. That way, it's very easy. All you do is rinse it off and everything looks good. Hello, Sue Me. Good evening. Welcome. Gil, good evening. You may lurk all you want to, as long as, it's with good intentions. Hill Summit Homestead, good evening. And to you, Jack. And let me see. Triple G Farms, Pete, good evening. Welcome. Good to see you too. But anyhow, so if you can take some liquid smoke or even bar soap and just get a good thin film on it. This has been over an open fire and you can't tell it. All you do is rinse it off and it comes right off. You'll see the same thing with my cookware. I really like the camp cookware from one particular, and I don't get anything for saying this. Let me see. I've got a comment here. Somebody's commenting on a video. So let me check here. I thought I hit share video, share page. Okay, share screen. There we go. And I want to go here. So this is Self-Reliance Outfitters, and I really like their products. They no longer have the one that I really, really like, which was a mega kit, and it had a couple of frying pans. It had the bush pot. Let me get to that page so I can show you the bush pots. They're down at the bottom of the page. But they had the bush pots and, oh, come on, bush pots. Where are you? Here we go. So here's the bush pot cooking combo, which is kind of like what I have. Oh, wow, it's on sale, 22% off too. I have a little bit more than just this bush pot cooking kit. It had plates and frying pans and everything else. This would be a fantastic purchase, to be honest with you. Now, the one thing I do like about the bush pot is you can get this little grate here to stick inside your bush pot. Put your bush pot on its side, and then you can use your bush pot as an oven. So see, he's got a loaf of bread inside here that he's cooking. So I really, really like Self-Reliance Outfitters. This is Dave Canterbury, who is a fantastic bushcraft expert. And I really like the products that he puts out. And I've been very, very happy with them. The other one that I strongly recommend, of course, is Can Cooker. Now, I spent an hour very graciously on the phone with the owner of the company. I've been trying to get a hold, we've been missing playing phone tag back and forth for the past 2 weeks. And I know she has a very busy schedule. I'm so thankful that she gave me the time that she did. I've got some fantastic notes from that discussion. But if you go, and there's a link in the show notes, if you go to Can Cooker, and I'm going to buy the big one, the really big one, so I can do stews, soups and chowders for my neighborhood in a post-apocalyptic world. This one here will comfortably feed 8 people, a stew or a chowder. I want to go up to where I can do a lot more than that. So I think it's 6 gallons is the large one. I'm going to be ordering one of those. Some of the things that Sonia told me to make sure, she every time I called it a pressure cooker, she really got upset. Well, not upset. She corrected me. And it's not a pressure cooker, it's a convection oven. And the difference is that pressure cookers don't have this little release valve here that lets the steam out. So there really isn't that much pressure to it. She said it's also safe to snap this open. So you can take these snaps and take the lid off while it's in the process of cooking, so that then that can be done safely, and there's no issue to that. So I thought that was great. She also told me about how you can leave it open, just take the ring out and take the lid off. You can open it up, and you see the design on the inside. Then you can use that as well for using it as a fry pan or as a fry pot, whichever you prefer. I keep all of my original stuff. So you notice that I had some stuff down in there. Helen, there's a couple of recipes Helen really likes. We were going to do one this evening, and I told her no. I needed this for an example, so we couldn't have it dirty with the food in it and me show it at the same time. But there are a couple of recipes that we really like. Which brings me to another point. Start your collection of good. So I have this recipe book, and this is one. This is a recipe that was given to me today. It's on the Can Cooker website. Sonia said this is her favorite, so I showed it to Helen. That's what Helen wanted to cook this evening. But make sure you get a nice collection of cookbooks, especially cookbooks that are kind of addressed to either Depression era cooking or camp cooking. Thrive Life, and you'll find a link for my Thrive Life account down below. This is their cookbook. You can see I have a whole bunch of highlighted tab pages of stuff that we really, really like. My daughter used to work for a company called Super Suppers, and they have a fantastic recipe book as well. We really like that. Then you can get the Lodge Camp Dutch oven cooking. I've got all kinds of Lodge books, different Dutch oven cookings, and different people have get them to me for presents, birthday or Christmas. There are some fantastic camping cookbooks out there. Boy Scout Handbook or Field Book is another fantastic source for a cookbook. And I would say that would be very appropriate for a post-apocalyptic world as well. Clara's Kitchen is a fantastic one. This is a collection of Depression era recipes and how they can really enhance everything going. I agree with you, Holly. I like cast iron as well. As a matter of fact, cast iron is going to be my primary way of baking bread. And then, of course, I found out today, because I haven't been on the website in a month or two, there are now 4 cookbooks, and I only have 2 of them. So, Helen, guess what? You're going to buy me a present, and you aren't aware of it, but you're buying me an early birthday present for the next 2 years. And I'm going to use what we have. She says, just make sure that you always, whenever you use your can cooker, always make sure you have at least 12 ounces of liquid down at the bottom because it's a steamer. And so that steam, because of this design, turns it into a convection oven. Okay. And so as a matter of fact, she showed me a video on the website where they're actually making apple cinnamon crisp muffins using the convection oven and steam process, much like what the Chinese did with steamed noodles and things like that. She said you can steam breads with it. She said, now this is aluminum. And for those of you who are concerned with cooking on aluminum or in aluminum or anything else, there is an anodized ceramic coating on the inside and on any portion of this that might come in contact with food, so that there is never any food to aluminum contact, so you don't have to be worried about leaching. And then the last thing I pulled out of the, when I bought this, it was called the Tailgater system, and that was probably about 5 years ago, 4 years ago. Now it's called the Weekender. But basically, what it is I think it was about $109, I think, when I got it. But you got this, you got one cookbook, you got the rack on the inside, and you got that stove. I've shown you the one burner stove that is either butane or propane. That all comes as part of that. Now, I found on the website that the butane is 8,000 BTUs when it burns in the stove, and the propane is 10,000 BTUs when it cooks when it at its highest flame. Both of them last 3 hours. Now, why am I bringing this up? Because I think it's critical. Most of us have not thought about the amount of time we're going to have to cook things. Now, most meals in something like this are going to take you about 30 minutes. So that means one canister will get you 6 meals. Okay. So now start thinking about that. Now let's just make it a simple 3. So we're going to say that that's going to be 3 meals. So that means for 365 days, I need 120 canisters of propane or butane. If we say 6 meals, then now we're going to need somewhere close to 365 divided by 6 is going to be 61 of those butane bottles to last for 1 year just to cook. 30 minutes per meal, 3 meals a day. So those are some of the things you have to think about. Number one, how can you save fuel? Make efficient use of fuel. So the way you do that is by decreasing your overall cook time. That means a lot of just add water stuff where all you have to do is, quickly boil the water, add it to it. That means a lot of soaking of your beans overnight so that you reduce the overall cook time of your beans. By the way, beans in this is 2 hours. In a normal pot, it's 4 hours. In a Dutch oven, I would say it's probably going to be about 3 hours. But anyhow, so, I want you to start thinking when we talk about food preparation, how are you going to make sure that you have enough heat to cook it? Or how are you going to have the right implements to cook it outdoors in a camping fashion? And then do you have enough fuel to cook what it is you want to cook? That means getting a whole bunch of charcoal or a whole bunch of firewood. Here in Central Texas, firewood does not grow easy. I tell you that much. So we're going to have to see a lot of other things that we're going to use in its place. Just some of the things you need to consider. Let me go back and catch up here. I'm using these highlighted comments as notes so I know how far I've missed. Butch Graves, good evening. Welcome from Colorado. Mother Earth Book Club. I think I said that before, but it sure doesn't hurt to reinforce it. So let me see. I called to verify a doctor's appointment last week because it's out of state and I'm ending my retirement. Found out I would have would have been a week early. See, it just happens, especially to those of us who are senior. We have those moments. Sumi, good evening. Welcome. I think I already said that, but welcome again. So Piotr says he had great pot pliers when he was in Scouts. Can't find them anymore. Yes, and there are there are now what they call pot handles, and so it's basically a handle where you squeeze it, and it's kind of like got almost like dog toenail clippers. When you squeeze the handle, it's got a prong up here and a prong down here, and then it kind of just pulls on it so that you got the lid in between, and it holds onto the pot as you pull it off. Great piece of gear. I don't know where mine is. With all the stuff that I have with Self-Reliance Outfitters, they use what they call fish hook spreaders. And so it's a coil spring, and it's got hooks that come out. And when you unhook it, they spring out. And so that becomes a handle where you can lift things off. And almost everything that Self-Reliance Outfitters has holes in the side, so you can use that fish hook spreader, which is really, really great. Let me rephrase that. Everything I have that is from Self-Reliance Outfitters. I don't know if everything they sell. So, hello, Muskoka Oma. Welcome. Well, it's good to see you, whether you're in the chat or not. I'm sure that you'll pop in and give us some great advice when ready. Yeah. Yeah, your indoor cookware is not going to last over an open fire. That is a guarantee, especially if it's lined with something like Teflon. You want to be very, very careful. I know you have a gas burner, so do I, but I don't know why there's a big difference between a gas burner and a stove indoors and cooking on an open fire outdoors. They just won't last. So be very, very cautious of that. Any kind of camping gear. You can even get the camping gear at Walmart, the Ozark brands. I don't know the quality of them, but I would say that's going to be better than having a standard fry pan. Uh, Stanley has some great gear, absolutely great gear. So yeah, good way to go. Good way to go. Cast iron is absolutely. I wish I had more. I was a member of the local cast iron cookware and club, and that kind of fell apart as a result of the lockdown. We didn't have any more. Blue Bonnet, I think, yeah, Blue Bonnet cast iron cookware club, and so we met once a month, and the whole thing was you had to prepare something out of your cast iron Dutch oven or cookware. Uh, So the channel homestead Tessie loves the older cookbooks and she loves learning old recipes and techniques. Absolutely. I think they're going to become critical again here in the near future. Mother Earth says that cast iron's getting too heavy for her arthritic hands. I can understand that. I can appreciate that. I can. You tell Mike says that aluminum Dutch ovens have hot spots. I don't know. I know that aluminum is, quote, the second best conductive heat source that there is. As far, I think cast iron is the first, and then aluminum is number two. But they're supposed to be very efficient and effective at dissipating heat and conducting it throughout the entire cooking apparatus. Laura Mannion says that yes, good utensils are super important. Absolutely. Aldo, well, we hope you have a nice evening and sleep well. And Pete says that he uses chlorine tablets for the pool, and that can help as well as far as cleaning up outdoor cooking stuff. Well, that's a good question. I would think so. I dump mine out back in my garden, so that's what we do here. But then again, I also have a tower garden, and so that has an area in the center that is a mulcher, and it's basically food. So the worms help with the mulching, and but good as long as it's not hot enough to kill the worms. Then I like to pour stuff in there as well to keep the mulching process in that state of wetness, and where the worms kind of like it as well. He says there will be overnight oats for breakfast. High probability. I don't care for oats. That's one of those things in the army that I had some that was just bad consistency, and so I have a problem eating them. I have some that I'm going to use as barter, and if necessary, I guess I'll eat them, but not one of those things that I plan on eating. Now Helen likes them. I don't. Gil, are you still here? Because this is a question for Gil. Utah Mike says he needs to pick up a pressure cooker that can be used on a camp stove. I think that because of the way that the pressure cookers are made, that they can be used on camp stoves because that camp stove is going to be basically the same thing. Thank you, Pete. What a wonderful gift. Thank you. I'll highlight that here. Because that's going to be the same type of a concentrated flame as you would get on your stove. So I'm going to say that on a camp stove, something like a Coleman, butane, or propane stove, absolutely. So Gil, back me up on that, whether I'm right or wrong on that. Oh, and we have Mother, what's his name? We also have a chef here tonight, so that would help as well too. The Afghan campfire pressure cooker would be a good option. Have seen those on several channels. I don't know. Once again, Gil, thank you. I really, really love that. And for those of you who don't know, if you go into my biography about me on my YouTube channel, what Pete has just given us is going to be divided into fourths. 1/4 goes to St. Vincent de Paul, where I was out giving away money to people who needed it today. As a matter of fact, my partner from the last one called me 1 minute before we started. I said, can you call me back in an hour? Because I got to get this live going. He says, I'll just give you a call tomorrow. So he'll probably give me a call tomorrow. But we had a couple visits today. And now we have to enter everything into computer so that the treasurer pays the rents and all that kinds of stuff. But anyhow, 25% goes to that, St. Vincent de Paul. 25% goes to a Protestant organization. Actually, it's Methodist, called the Salvation Army, and they do wonderful work as well. Another 25% goes to our county food bank and assistance center, and that's called the Caring Place for Williamson County, Texas. And then 25% I keep, and I purchase things, either cameras or lights or gifts for people. So like I just went over 6,000. So as soon as we get to 10,000, we're going to be holding some giveaways. So, so that's going to be set aside for that. So thank you for that, Pete. I appreciate that. Let me see. That reminds me. Well, I haven't seen her on here yet tonight, but please pray for Shenanigans. She has a place in California, and the city or the town had to be evacuated due to the line fire that is happening right now. So they evacuated her town, and we want to pray as hard as we can that her home is not consumed by flames while she's away from it. We pray that she has a home to return to after, and that the fire just bypasses her house and leaves her all set up. So that's Shenanigans. And so she and I have been communicating via email, and gosh, it just does not look good, but we sure wish her the best, and we pray for her. So please keep her in your prayers as we go through this week. That fire, by the way, right now is 0% contained. It has been 0% contained now for about 3 or 4 years. Absolutely. You're absolutely right. So washable bowls are fantastic, especially either camp stainless steel or titanium. Titanium's a lot more expensive, but it is a lot more lightweight. Thank you, Little Lone Prepper. Appreciate that. Church recipe books. What a great suggestion, Mother Earth. I had forgotten about that. Great suggestion. Thank you for sharing that. Wooden bowls are fantastic as well. Yes. Okay, so Aldo says that it's silver, copper, and aluminum. I don't think we use too much silver in cooking. But, there are some people who may. I think that's what cost Marie Antoinette her head, was when they almost, they lopped off the head of Louis XIV, or no, Louis XVI first, 3 days before they did Marie Antoinette. And she asked for mercy, that she didn't intend to do anything wrong. And they were about ready to commute her and just ban her to a different country until they found her jewelry and her silver cookware. And that's what cost her her neck, or cost her her head. So, and they just recently, by the way, exhumed her grave and did some studies on what was left of her. Yes, and I think rice is going to be a mainstay. Thank you, Kaylin, for sharing that. Rice will be a mainstay. Military canteen cups are best for bugging out, but a stainless steel frying pan and pot are a luxurious must. I agree. I think that the military mess kit. As a matter of fact, I think I closed that out. Did I close out the Self-Reliance Outfitters? Yes, I did. Self-Reliance Outfitters does have what they call a canteen cook set, and it's 3 pieces. It's an aluminum. No, it's not. It's a stainless steel canteen. It's a stainless steel canteen cup, and then an aluminum, what looks like the same thing as the canteen cup, but it's got holes in it, and it fits over the canteen cup. You take that off the canteen cup, stand it upside down, and then you can put wood and everything else underneath of it to build a fire, so you have a stable platform for your canteen cup. So you can either boil water, make coffee, or cookies with it. I'm sorry, I've got bad gas tonight. Enameled camping bowls are fantastic. My favorite camp coffee mug is an enameled coffee mug. I wholeheartedly agree with you, Laura. Great suggestion. Thank you for sharing that. For backpacking and bob gear, the gear that's ultralight hikers use is usually useful on the cooking side. Alcohol Trangia stoves are hard in wind and cold. Absolutely correct. So that's why you need, and I have one that I bought, and it's a foldable aluminum hexagonal, and it's got, everything folds out and it's all connected via kind of like door hinges. But it's a hexagonal, and it's only about 10 inches tall, but it's a wind block. So you can make a wind block around your cooking area. Those are essential if you're going to use things like a Trangia stove. Absolutely. As a matter of fact, that video I told you about earlier was they made the breading for the muffins, and then they in a separate pot they did the or mixed in a separate bowl. They mixed the apples, cinnamon, sugar, and all that kinds of stuff. Then they put the breading mixture on the bottom. They put the filling on top. Then they put breading on top of that, and then they covered it with oatmeal. And that's what provided the crunch. And then they put more topping on top of that. So there was a great recipe on hello, Texas Redleg. Good to see you. Saw a video of his earlier today, and we don't get to see too much of him anymore. He's been really busy with work, and but he was out in his backyard with today's video. So good to see you. Let me see here. Thank you, Little on Prepper. I appreciate that. With that, we use oatmeal cookies here, and we have a type 1 brittle diabetic here who is insulin dependent. So we use oatmeal all the time, and it doesn't, as a matter of fact, it's one of the ones that works best on her as far as carbs. So that's, I guess everybody is different. Oh no! So Aldo Schmidak says that his friend Bima Seat Academy is in the line of fire too. Golly, that's terrible. I hate to see that, but let's include her as well. Anybody who's in that area, let's make sure that they're on our prayer list, and that we try to protect them with God's love from the fire as it goes. Oh, wow. What a great idea, Kaylin. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, the collapsible dog food bowls and everything else is just great. Yeah. It's just, we've got to help each other out. We've got to remember, that, what is it, Matthew 24, I think it is, tells us that we have to feed the hungry and clothe the naked and shelter the homeless. So yeah, that's part of my obligation that I very firmly believe in. Thank you for sharing that, Jack. Let me see. Can you hear the fire department is responding? I just heard the fire trucks pull out, turn on their sirens. I use an MSR Dragonfly, can burn gasoline, diesel. Although there was a one burner gas stove that the Army had that my dad got for me um, when I was in Boy Scouts, and it was capable of burning anything. I wish I still had it. I don't know what happened to it. But it was a nice little canister stove, and with one of the pressure, like the old Coleman stoves where you pumped it to get the pressure into it, and it had a tri-leg, and it had a tri-fold top. Fantastic piece of equipment. So anything that is multi-fuel, I absolutely love. I just think it's great. Okay, so I just wanted to share that with you and some ideas around recipes, cooking equipment, and everything else. We've got 25 minutes left, and then I want to get into some free flow chatting. But next, I wanted to talk about water collection, purification, and storage. So I've got some links in the show notes. I have two gravity-fed water filtration systems. I'm going to show you those here in a couple of minutes. I have two of the Survivor Filter Pros pump, and I believe in that. I like either gravity-fed or pump. I don't like water straws, and I'm not. Although I have a bunch of them, I'm not that keen on filtration bottles. I bought, and it was rather expensive. I bought a Seychelles water filtration bottle with a radiation filter in it. Okay. Now remember, water does not become irradiated. It does not become radioactive itself unless it is inside the containment area of the explosion. So if you have a body of water, right, and then the fireball explodes and it's in contact with the water, that water does become radioactive. Okay. However, most bombs are going to be air bursts. Okay. So they're not going to make the water radioactive itself. However, there will be some particles. Okay. Now this is very true of if it's an earth, a ground explosion over Earth, you're going to have radioactive particulate matter that, because of its heat, rises up into the mushroom cloud. Then the wind is going to carry it downwind, and as it cools, it's going to fall. If it falls into water, thereby it makes that water, quote, radioactive. However, you can remove the radioactivity of the water, usually through simple filtration. A coffee filter, which is 15 microns, is probably good enough to remove about 99% of any radioactive materials that were in that water. Okay. But I bought this expensive Seychelles water bottle that's going to, as you drink it, it's going to filter out 99.99% of radioactive fallout from the water. But then I started thinking about it. And I said, wait a minute. Now what I'm doing is I'm concentrating all that radioactivity into one filter, and that filter is on the hip of my belt, right? I got a water bottle carrier on my belt. I'm thinking, do I really want to carry around a whole bunch of radioactive stuff in a filter on my belt in a bad post-apocalyptic world? And I said, no, that's not what I want to do. So what I want to do is if I'm going to filter water that I believe may have been exposed to radioactive fallout, I want all the filtration stuff out there as much as possible, which is why I go through that multi-stage filtration system. So if you skim it off the top of a lake a couple hours after the fallout has occurred, probably pretty good chance you've got most of the radioactive materials have already settled down to the bottom of the lake. So lakes, streams, rivers, those kinds of things are probably going to be fairly safe. I would go ahead, however, and get a pour-over coffee filter. And with that pour-over coffee filter, I would then take one bottle, my collection bottle of water, pour it over that coffee filter so that I'm straining out any radioactive dust and then getting better water inside the bottle. Now I've got what I call a semi-clean bottle of water. I am now going to take that semi-clean bottle of water and filter it through one of my filtration systems. Now I'm kind of a geek here. I have two different filtration systems. Well, I have 2 different gravity filters. I have 3 different. I have a Sawyer gravity system that I could hang up outside. It's a camping system. I have 2 of the metal canisters, 2.5-gallon canisters that you set on your countertop in the kitchen. I have 2 of those. Ooh, what do I know more than you do? I doubt that. Let me see what's going on here. I'm a learner. I keep a water straw in my sear kit, but use Katadyn packets for filters. It has silver in their element and lasts about 100 times the normal filter, but it's expensive. If you keep fallout off water, it should be good. Well, yeah. So what you want to do is have that primary filter system of, you can even use a kerchief or a bandana or a t-shirt or any kind of clothing. Clothing is probably going to get it down to about 25 or 30 microns. So you're going to get a large, probably 75% of it out using your, I want to filter everything first using something. So another good thing you can do is just take your shirt or a piece of cloth. Gosh, what do I have I can use other than my t-shirt? I don't want to show you my belly. You can take a paper napkin, rubber band it on top, okay, or something like that, and then put this bottle down in the water so that the water comes in. Now, your filtration system is going to keep it here on the outside of your collection bottle, okay? So anything you can do to improve or reduce the amount of stuff that's going to clog up your good filter, the better off you're going to be. And so what I don't like about the water straw and things like that is the fact that I have to get my face down close to the contaminated water in order to use it. So that's problem number 1. I had a guy that I had to delete his comments. But the other one is, just think, it takes 2.5 hours for 2.5 gallons of water to gravity filtrate through a 0.01 micron filter. Katadyn, Life Straw, and others are, I think, 0.02 or 0.03 micron. So they're not quite as good as the gravity filters, but you've got to have a lot of pressure to get that water through the filter. So you're going to have to, like you would not believe. My lungs can't do that. Okay, I don't have, I've got too much damage to my lungs for me to be able to use a water straw like that. So if I get down close to the contaminated water and start sucking on it, I'm going to have to spend way too much time down there close to that contaminated water. And with my balance, I'd probably fall into it anyway. So that's the problem I have with water straws and water straw filters and filtration systems. So in my bug out bag, I have, and I'll show you a picture of it. I have a Survivor Filter Pro, and that's a hand pump system, so that I don't have to rely on my lungs. I can rely on my hands. Let me see here. Okay, so 0.2 microns, and then what I'm going to show you here in just a minute is 0.1 micron. Absolutely, and you can just use the old strainer from an old coffee pot. Good suggestion. Way to go. I like the ingenuity. We have a rain catchment system, and so I have a filtration system, a primary filtration system over the inlet spout. Now I realize that I'm losing efficiency as far as collection of rain, but it does keep out a lot of the bigger stuff, like, bird droppings that hasn't been emulsified. It keeps out leaves and pieces of the roof and things like that don't want that filling up my tank. So I have a primary filtration system there that kind of deflects that off. So Aldo says he agrees with that. Oh yeah, and let me tell you something. Texas redleg. We had this discussion, 2 years ago, a year and a half ago. Texas redleg found a water bladder that fits inside of a wheelbarrow, and I will add that to the list. Thank you for bringing that up, Texas redleg. And because the subject back then, this was before I had my rain catchment system installed, and he and I were talking, and I told him that I had talked my daughter into getting me one of those heavy duty garden 4-wheel wagons because I was going to take two 6-gallon buckets, Reliance water jugs, down to the river, fill those up with water, and then bring those back up, haul those back up. He says, it might be more efficient for you. And he found this water bladder that fits inside of a wheelbarrow. He said, this might be better. And I thought, wow, what a great idea. So when I asked my wife if I could have that, she said, no, I couldn't have that, but I could have the rain catchment system. So I got a rain catchment system instead. But I'll put a link for that. That was a great find. Thank you, Texas Red Leg, for reminding me of that. I should have put it in there in the first place. So Kaylin says she has both cone and basket filters in her bug out equipment. Let me show you the two systems I have. One is $100, the other is $200. And I'll show you the difference between the two. No, I don't want to invite. Oh yeah, I'll put invite out there. Texas Red Leg, here's the invite. So if you want to come on, click on it and be happy to have you on here with me. Let me see. Present. Share screen. So let me see, which one do I want to go to first? I want to go to the Purewell. So this is basically a clone of the Berkey. Okay. Okay. So you can see here, the last time I purchased it was May 3rd, 2023. So that's over a year and a half ago. Oops, where'd it go? Present, share screen, Purewell, 3-stage, 0.01 micron. There we go. Okay, so you can see here, the last time I purchased it was May 3rd, 2023, but this is a 0.01 micron. Ultrafiltration gravity system. It has 2.5 gallons that it holds up here. You pour in here the dirty water. The filters, it has 3 filters, and they go in here, and each one can filter 3,000 gallons, or I'm sorry, 1,000 gallons. So this can, before you need to change the filters, filter 3,000 gallons of water. Now, if you look at it, 3,000 gallons of water at 10 gallons a day for the two of us, okay, is basically 300 days. So almost a year's supply of water if we use 10 gallons a day, 5 gallons for each of us. So I've ordered some extra membranes, and I get membranes on my Amazon auto ship every 6 months. So I've got 6 more. So I now have 3 years worth of membranes just for this unit. Okay. So this is a gravity system. It takes 2 hours, 3 hours to gravity filter 2.5 gallons. So that means I'm going to go in here, up here, I'm going to go in there and pour in 2.5 gallons every 3 hours, let it come down. Then I'm going to just got a spigot down here. So I'm going to put it into my clean water container, whatever it is. So I just think this is a fantastic system. I really like the price. And you can also do that Amazon Pay where you can get it spread out over a couple payments. Just a fantastic system. Okay. So the link for that's going to be in there. Stop sharing. Here's the $200 one. So, and I have one of these. It has the exact same filters. Okay. So this is the membrane solutions, and I'll show you the difference and why I bought it. So the reason I bought this one is because of a little contraption right down here. Okay. And right down here, there is a UV filter so that if there are any living organisms who have made it past the 0.1 micron, so it's not quite as fine as the other one, but you can change that by changing the filters. Remember, the other one was 0.01 microns. This one's 0.1 microns. So the other one's 10 times better than this one. But any living organisms, there's a UV filter here So that ultraviolet light kills anything that comes through that spigot. So it's the same thing, 2.5 gallons in 3 hours. So basically I can kill any organisms that are going to be in it here. So this one, the same thing. This is good for 3,000 gallons. Each filter is basically 1,000 gallons. So here's another year's supply. So what I can do is I can run it through one first and then the other. So if I run it through the other one first, these filters will never get clogged because the other filters are better. And then I've got the UV here to kill any living organisms to boot. So I just love that. That's just, so I bought this one as well. A little bit on the pricey side, but it's cheaper now than when I bought it. And I'll have a link for that one as well. Now the third one, let me get up here, stop sharing. The third one, and this is the one I keep in my bug out bag. Share screen. Is oh no, don't tell me I didn't do it. I guess I didn't do it. I didn't make one of it. I'm sorry. Is the Survivor Filter Pro. Let me see if I can't do here. I'll just do on Amazon real quick. Okay, Survivor Filter Pro. Hand pump, portable water filter. There we go. Oh my gosh, I'm going to be embarrassed when I show this. Okay, so present, share screen, and here we go. Whoops, wait a minute. Let me hide my address real quick. There we go. Okay, there we go. Now I can share it. Okay, look at this. Embarrassing, huh? I bought 2 of them, but this is the Survival Filter Pro. Okay, and it is. If you use the extended plan, it's $11.66 a month for 6 months. It only weighs 12.8 ounces, so it's easy to carry in your backpack. I will tell you, this is about the size of the Army canteen, and it's just great. It gets 4.5 stars here. Let me get down here and see if there's any technical stuff down here for us. So I think it gives us the microns. It's a 0.03 micron, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, so here we go. So it is 100,000 liters, and remember there's 4 liters to a gallon. So that's basically 25,000 gallons, or 26,000 it says here, golly. Takes care of chemicals, bacteria, parasites, improves water taste, indoor, outdoor. So, I mean, it's a great little system for $69, and it's got the hose so that it has a hose you put into your source water, a hose where you put it into your clean water where you're going to collect it, and it's good to go. Now, compare those other 2 water filters that I showed you, and one was 109 and the other's 199. Look at this one, 299. Okay, so both those other ones that I have are good deals. Okay, so give you some ideas on that. How do I store them? I originally started out with the Reliance 6-gallon blue buckets, but water weighs 8 pounds per gallon. So that's 48, almost 50 pounds of water. And for a 72-year-old whose biceps are not that great, okay, lifting 50 pounds of water up and trying to stack it on top of each other is not great. So I changed over to the water bricks. And the water bricks are only 3 pounds, which is 3 gallons, which is 25 pounds. and that's a lot easier. It's half the weight, so I can stack them a lot easier, store them, recycle them, whatever the case is. Don't forget that we also have a real good deal. So with Cold War Prepper, you can get a 10% discount for Aqua Tabs, which is a water purification tablet you can add to your water as well. So Aqua Tabs was great. They sponsored one of our monthly preparedness group here in Williamson County. We have PepperNet 13, District 13 here in Texas, and we had our monthly meeting, and they sponsored it and gave everybody Aqua Tabs, and they did a lot of great for us. A great company. I strongly recommend them. They have a great quality product. So if you're on the move, okay, and you think you filtered your water with just a kerchief, and you think there may still be something in there you want to kill, Aqua Tab. Just throw an Aqua Tab in there. That's what we did in the Army, basically. And just throw an Aqua Tab in there, and then you're good to go. So I strongly recommend that as an outstanding water purification product as well. And then for water storage, like I said, the water bricks. There is one more option for you. Well, actually, there's two more options for you. So one option is, there we go. I keep them underneath this Ekmont group. As I drink these flavored waters. I get them for 87 cents a bottle. Well, here we go. So 87 cents a bottle at Walmart. And then when I finish it, Helen washes it. We cut the label off. Helen washes it, soap and water, get the taste going and everything else. We refill it with filtered water, and this becomes our water storage. So this is 1 liter of water for our permanent water storage, and they fit handily right here underneath this corner. Ekmont group is what it's called in German. And so we can keep our water stored here. Now, there are some chemicals that you can get on Amazon, and I'll put a link. I forgot to do that too. I'll put a link for those tomorrow morning after my doctor's appointment. But anyhow, that will enhance the taste of the water. It just gets rid of any of that musty mildew, stale taste that sometimes you get when you store water for a while. But it's really great. And I think it's called Aqua Mira. But just consider that. So pre-filter your water. Use a shirt, use a kerchief, use a coffee filter. I probably have 5,000 coffee filters with a pour-over system, simply because I'm going to use them for my pre-filter for most of my water before it goes into either one of my two, the PureWell or the Membrane Solutions gravity water filtration systems. If necessary, I can also use my Survivor Filter Pro, either one of them. I forgot that I have one for each bug out bag, mine and for Helen's. That's it. Those are all great products as far as purifying your water. Store them in your own water jugs. I mean, you can make your own. You can get the Reliance 6-gallon buckets. That's great. They're not stackable. You don't have to create extra shelves. However, if you do that, you have to be younger than I am and stronger than I am to get them up to the second and third shelf. If you're old and feeble like I am and weak and everything else and lazy, then you get the water bricks, which are half the weight and more manageable. And then the final solution is there's something called a bath. Help me here, Texas Red Leg. I know you know what I'm talking about. It's called a water bob, bathtub water. It can store 150 gallons, and it's a big membrane. We keep it in the guest bathroom because we have a bigger bathtub there. And so underneath the sink, I have this 150-gallon bob. The minute you find out that the world has gone to poo-poo and you need to start storing water, you put that under your spout for your bathtub, pull it up, okay? And then it has a seal on it. Then it has a tube, a spigot tube. So what you do is you put pressure on the bob inside the bathtub, and the bathtub's already designed for that weight, right? So even if you're in a second story or third story apartment, if you're filling up a bathtub, they've already got that for water plus human. So it'll definitely support the water. A little bit of pressure down on the bottom causes the water to go up the water column and out through the spigot into whatever you want to use it at. And there's 150 gallons of water that you automatically have stored as well. So, that's another option for you. So let me see where we are. Gosh. So Aqua Research H2Go is chlorine maker from salt. Okay. Kaylin says she likes to store water in much smaller containers, right down to cleaned out jelly jars. So we have a vast majority of 1 liter bottles. I have a couple 5 gallons that I got from the water, the kind you dump upside down and pour into a water dispenser. When I owned the store, I have 3 of those. And then at one of our meetings, the president of our prepper club, prepper group, he showed me that he buys those bottles and has them in his house. And he doesn't have to turn them upside down. He bought this battery operated pump that fits on top of it. It has a tube that goes down to the bottom of the jar, and you just turn it on. It's like a regular spigot. I said, whoa, got to have one of those. So I bought one. It was like $18. And they also have hand pump versions. So you can get battery operated or hand pump. And then, so I have those 3 5 gallons. I probably have 5 or 6 of the 6 gallon Reliance jugs. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Cambros that are 3.5 gallon Cambros from when I had my emergency food service company and disaster response company. And then I have maybe 8 of the 3-pound water bricks. And then the rest of it's all 1 liter bottles. So, that's another way you can do it. What I like about the 1 liter bottles is you can store them anywhere underneath, here, underneath the bed in the bedroom, out in the garage, all over the place. We've got 1 liter bottles of water all over the place. One of the guys I helped out today, his apartment complex for some reason doesn't have any running water. I have like 2 shipping boxes full of these, probably 2 dozen bottles that I was going to take to our next meeting and give to my members of my group. Instead of doing that, I'm going to fill them up with water here and take him 24 or so bottles, 2 dozen bottles of water tomorrow. And that'll hopefully help him with his problems at his apartment complex. Okay. The price to rent post office box in the U.S. Oh, you aren't kidding. It's like $187 for 6 months for a small box is what I pay up in Georgetown. Yes. So as a matter of fact, Aquatabs has the contract for the government. So yes. Yeah, that's true. You did. But you said that was the Spanish rations, right? But you also said that there was no hot drinks, no coffee or no tea, if I'm not mistaken. We aren't planning on, but we've got bug out bags, but we're not planning on bugging out. You're absolutely true. So there's 2 companies, Aquatabs and Aquamira. And Aquamira is the one that has the 2 tab for taste, and Aquatab is the one that has 1 tab for purification. 2 different companies. And I made the mistake of thanking Aquamira when I should have thanked Aquatabs. So I will never make that mistake again. When somebody is as nice to you as Aquatabs has been to this channel and to my prepper group, I will never, ever forget their name again. That was very embarrassing to thank the wrong company, especially after everything that they did for us. Let me see where we are. Oh, wow. I would have filled it with vinegar. Gosh, and one of the things I kind of like to sip a little bit, the olive juice when they make olives. Yeah, that's just a little bitty sip every now and then. It's almost like having a little shot of alcohol, but not quite. Okay, so the bathtub, here we go. Aldo says that the bathtub bag brands Water Bob, Algascape, Emergency Essentials, Water Prepared, and Rain Barrel. I have the Water Bob. So I know for sure that's the one I have. Yeah, Holly's in the area where my daughter is, if I'm not mistaken. Although she has to drive into Manhattan one day a week. And because she has a Ford, what's the biggest Ford? Econo, not an Econo, it's the Suburban, or the equivalent to the Chevy Suburban. She has the big Ford. She has to pay a tax. So what she does now is because they have this large vehicle tax now. If you have a pickup truck or a large SUV and you drive on Manhattan, you have to pay a tax in addition to crossing over on the bridge. So what she does now is she parks right across the bridge and takes the public transit into Manhattan. Yeah, there are hand versions. That's why I said there's a pump version that it uses basically suction, but it's a pump version. And I that maybe that's what I bought because I didn't want to have batteries. I don't remember what I bought. I can find Excursion or Exposition, one of those two. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. That's what she has. Of course, she has 3 kids, and my son-in-law has an F-150, so they are really screwed moving from Texas to New Jersey. So Russ Niederman, I have a slight problem with Ross Niederman. He was saying on one of Greg's lives that the Russians were sending weapons to Texas so Texas could revolt. And I asked him, "Can I have your source, please?" And he said, "I left it at work." And so he kept on saying, I said, "If you don't have a source, please don't say it." And he kept on saying it and kept on saying it. And then he timed me out on Greg's channel because I kept asking for a source because I felt that was totally bogus news. It turns out it was totally bogus news. And Ross has never apologized for that indiscretion. And so I don't care for him that much. But anyhow, yes, it is a siphon. Okay, let's go to the Book of Numbers. Oh, tomorrow night. Tomorrow night, we're working on the next. Remember, this book doesn't have chapters. So tomorrow night, we're going to be working on stockpiling equipment and supplies. There are 11 things that they recommend that you stockpile. We're going to talk about where to get the best buys for survival items, alternatives, and how you can make some of your own survival items, and then final thoughts on equipment to stockpile. We're also going to get into reference materials and what he recommends as having a fantastic library and some of the books that he recommends you have in your emergency preparedness library. So tomorrow night, 8:00. Things are getting exciting out there. I tell you what, you better, if you haven't started prepping, now is the time to start. Book of Numbers, chapter 6, verses 24, 25, and 26. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord let his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord look upon you kindly and give you peace. Please, please, please. I know I love you all so much. You all are fantastic. Oh no, there went. I'll have to move the entire thing. I just knocked my Geiger counter back behind the Ekbont group, and this is about like a 250-pound piece of furniture. I'm going to have to dig it out. Maybe I can go underneath, move all my water out, and get underneath. Remember, we're all in this together, so we can come out the other side together. I love it because you're that way already. Thank you so much for being kind, polite, and respectful to each other. That means the world to me. Thank you, moderators, for ensuring that people are that way. I greatly appreciate that as well. Remember, the only way we're going to get through this is togetherness. I'll see you all tomorrow night, 8:00 Central Time. Have a wonderful, peaceful evening. And for those of you who choose to go to the debate instead of being here, I fully understand. We took a vote last week, and the vast majority voted to be here tomorrow night. So we're going to be here tomorrow night. And I don't think the debate's going to be that much of a contest anyway. Take care, everybody. Have a nice evening. Bye-bye.